Hello, this is Pat Walker, Mission Winners, doing a video overview of the ETFs. Why do we look at the ETFs? This is a fact. Leading groups produce leading stocks, and leading stocks produce leading groups. By looking at the ETFs, we can see quickly where there's strength or weakness, areas to maybe concentrate on, and also areas to avoid. Tremendous power on both sides of that coin. Here we go. The IBD 50, this is the weekly on the left and daily on the right. And you can see this is dropping. And this is the 50-day moving average line. This is a great maxim. I taught at IBD meetups for years. This is what I used to say. The air is better above the rising 50-day moving average line. And you're going to say, well, that's kind of corny. No, it's the truth. We focus on strength. When it starts to get weak, losing strength, we just are careful, and it helps us. Let's do the next one here. Gold miners. This one's hanging in. Here's the weekly. You can see that doesn't look too bad. And then there's the daily, and you can see that's potential. But what does it need to do? Form a little base here and then take off. That's what we would be looking for on GDX, excuse me. Let's continue onwards. I knew the next one was going to be this one. Yeah, GLD. See the clean and simple base right here? See the volume that came into it, picking up through here and then more? That was a buy right there, and we bought this a couple of times. We're in good shape. Is there anything to do with it now? Well, if this could base a little longer and then take out these highs, that could be a potential buy, but go small in this market. Also note, this was a gap up and reversal bar on heavy volume. It's a selling bar. Heed that. Don't ignore it. These are lessons that we try to teach in Mission Winners, things to look for. We concentrate on weekly and daily charts. We don't day trade. I don't look at 5-minute charts. I don't scalp. You're chained to the computer. And I don't really care to have that. I like to ride trends. Weekly on the left, daily on the right. Biotechnology. What has it been telling us for a while? Stay away from biotech stocks. We don't have to overthink it. That's what it is. Leave it alone. Continue onwards. Here we go. Oil and gas has been really good up through here. And now it's pulling back a little bit on the weekly and the daily. It needs to start showing some power. And until it does, be careful with that. In fact, until the market shows some power, be careful. The M in Mission Winners is the markets. Please don't ignore the markets. That's why it comes first in Mission Winners, the markets. We don't ignore it. Continue next and help frame it up. Software technology. Look at the weekly dropping here. Look at the daily dropping. What's it telling us? It's saying you better be careful with software technology stocks. That's simple. Move on. Medicine. I think they need medicine. Look at the drop here. Be careful with medical stocks. Done. Aerospace and defense, chopping around here a little bit. Note the selling volume on the weekly, and it's just flopping around here on the daily. And so we need to see some power off there. Until then, be careful. Also, we need some power in the markets too. All right, continue onward. Home construction. Look at the drop here. Look at the drop. What does it say? If you own home construction stocks, when it starts dropping like this, sell some. Sell some. You don't have to panic out, but sell some. Here's another very important investing maxim we talk about at Mission Winners. The air is better above the 50-day. The stock's now below the 50-day. Be real careful with that. Real careful. I basically, when stocks are below the 50-day, I rarely buy unless it's a high or low setup. Okay. Other than that, I just leave it alone. It's also telling you to be careful with this group. Let me refresh this real quick. Hold on just a second. I'm going to edit the low on this bar real quick just so we can see it better. There we go. This has been trending nicely. S&P 500 growth. Isn't that nice? But then notice how it starts to roll over here on the weekly. Notice how it starts to roll over on the daily. And now it's lost the 50-day. Again, the air is better above a rising 50-day moving average line. Be cautious, not just with this ETF, but with S&P 500 growth. Move on. IWM, small caps, no good. No good for right now. Look at the drop below the 50-day on heavy volume. And now it's well below the 50-day. There's nothing to do with small caps. Be cautious, okay? Real estate. Look at the weekly, look at the daily. It's below the falling 50-day, leave it alone. Transportation's below the falling 50-day. Be real careful with that. Airlines. Now this one doesn't look too bad. Look at the weekly and look at the daily. There's potential tops right here on jets. But what does it need? It needs good price and volume action. And you know what else it's going to need? A good market. DM and mission winners, right? The markets. Just be cautious with that. Let's continue onwards. Here we go. Midcap, below the 50-day. Some selling volume here. Selling volume on the weekly. Be careful with midcap stocks. Done. We don't have to overthink it. Oil services, support on the 50-day, but there was some selling here. Needs to get a bounce off that, okay? It does tell us something. I just showed you a bunch of ETFs that are well below the 50-day. This one's found support on the 50-day. There's some strength there. We'll have to watch it. But remember, we need to see it power off here with volume. Until then, be careful. Pharmaceuticals, they need drugs. There's nothing there. I know you say, oh, that's cute and funny. No, it's the truth. Just go back to it. There's nothing there. It's below the fallen 50-day. Leave it alone. Bitcoin, I put this one on here just to show people what it's doing. Okay, it's flopping around here a little bit. Just overall, things to be cautious with. Continue onwards. NASDAQ 100, growth stocks, the big growth stocks. Look what it's doing here. Look at the drop. It's been telling us. Do you see this bar right here? I'm going to show you something. I said this at IBD meetups for years. People talk with their mouths and vote with their pocketbooks. Folks, they voted here. They sold. Look at the selling volume on that bar. Losing the 50-day. It's saying you better be careful with the IBD 50, with the NASDAQ 100 stocks. And yeah, that's why when it was rolling down here, getting lighter, locking in profits, lessening exposure, and not buying. QQQ, same situation, leave it alone. Retailing below the 50-day, be careful with retail. Silver, now silver's hanging in there. I just showed you a bunch that look kind of sloppy. Silver doesn't look too bad. Big tail bar here, the one selling volume. This needs to lift off the ADMA with volume. Now, this is just a little pullback setup to a rising ADMA. It's riskier than a clean and simple base breakout. How do we control risk at Mission Winners? A, don't buy, or B, if we do buy, we buy less shares. Just be careful with that. Steel really got whipped around here. All right, this is loose. This is a wide and loose pattern. That indicates high investor emotions. Be careful with that. Here we go. SMAs, semiconductors. No, nothing good there now, folks. Just leave it alone. It may bounce and we'll be ready, but for right now, stack the deck in your favor. It's falling on increasing volume. It's below the 50-day. Just wait. Stay away from semiconductors. S&P 500, the spiders. I look at these a couple of times a day, folks, and look what it's doing here. Look at the rising volume on the weekly. Okay, it's below the falling 50-day. Just be real cautious with the S&P 500 and the SPDR ETF. Same thing's true with SSO. Be careful. Solar, they had a flare out. Okay, I had to say it. I'm sorry. There's nothing there. Just leave it alone. What does it tell you? Stay away from solar stocks. All right. Small caps, kind of rough. Stay away from small caps. Please know here, I'm not all negative and stuff. I'm just reporting what is. Here's the analogy. Oh, it's raining outside. Oh, you're so negative. No, I'm just stating the fact it's raining outside. That's all. All right. Oh, it's sunny outside. Oh, you're always positive. No, I'm just stating the fact it's sunny outside. That's all. We study the charts with a high degree of objectivity. We let price and volume guide our actions. Oil, some support here. Looks better than a lot of them, but it needs to start showing more power. And also market. You need a market. Could it push through the rising 21 EMA or the 21 EMA, which is the blue line? Yes. What do I like? There was decent up volume on that bar, but it needs to get above that line. And remember, you need a good market too. Consumer discretionary, stay away. Stay away from consumer discretionary stocks too. Leave it alone. Aerospace and defense, there's nothing there. Be careful, avoid them. Bio, look at this. Look at this drop here on the weekly and the daily. Stay away from biotech. Done. Home builders has been really good to us from before. Now it's sloppy. By the way, here's an investing maxim for you. Home builders do not like rising interest rates. Just be aware of that. Most industries don't like rising interest rates. It has to do with the cost of borrowing for everything. So not a lot to do with the home builders at this point in time. Basic materials. How do you build homes with basic materials? It has support on the 50-day. But notice this bar, oh, it's a green bar. Note where it closed in the bottom half of its range. Oh, it's a green bar on less volume, closed in the bottom half of its range. There's not a lot of power there. Overall, just be cautious. Here we go. Communications losing the 50-day on volume, leave them alone. Energy. Now that one doesn't look too bad. I just showed you a bunch that look kind of ragged. This one's kind of hanging in on XLE. By the way, what was the previous ETF that I mentioned? USO. See how we connect the dots? Picking up here. Lift across these tops here. Decent volume today on Friday. It needs to lift across the tops, and it needs to do it with volume, and it needs a good market. Financials lag and be cautious. Needs to get back above the 50-day, okay? But they spanked it pretty hard in here, folks. So financials, it's not good when the financials are not acting good. That's a fact, okay? Industrial, still kind of ragged here. Not a lot of power. Be cautious. Technology, look at this. Look at this drop. We own some technology stocks? Yes, we did. What have we been doing for the last couple of weeks? You can ask our members. So, oh, what have they been doing in Mission Winners? A very little buying, if any at all, and selling and locking in profits and lessening exposure. That's what we've been doing. And looking at day charts. No day trading, nothing like that. The market, the M in Mission Winners, comes first. We let market action guide our actions. It helps us. Consumer staples, it's kind of a defensive sector, okay? Picking up a little bit, maybe it'll lift up, but it's, there's some selling volume in here on the weekly, and you can see it dropped pretty hard. Not a clean and simple base. It looks a little better, but just still continue to be cautious. And, healthcare, way below the falling 50-day, leave it alone. Done. Consumer discretionary, look at this. Look at that drop. Look at the weekly drop. Look at the daily drop. It's saying you can punch up XLY and find out what their top 10 holdings are and say, I'm staying away from stocks from that sector. There we go. Done. Metals and mining, chopping around a little bit. You've got a tail bar here and a tail bar here and a tail bar here. Tail bars indicate that lack of investor conviction. It runs up and they sell it. It runs up and they sell it. It runs up and they sell it. Be careful with that. That's a valuable lesson right there, folks. There you go. XOP, oil and gas. Could this push through the 50-day? Or, the 21 exponential? Yes. What's it need? It needs to push through with volume. By the way, what was the previous ETF said that I said didn't look too bad? XLE, energy. You see how you connect the dots? Energy, oil and gas. There we go. Now, please, it needs a good market too, all right? Retail, stay away. Retail, stay away. Software, look at that. Stay away. That's thin. It trades thin, but it tells us what's going on with the software sector. Leave it alone. So let's move on to the stocks. Apple, weekly on the left, daily on the right. Here's a good lesson for everybody. Everybody knows about the 50-day. Everybody. Look what this does. Rallies right up to the 50-day, pushes above it, closes below it, and that's all she wrote. That's a good lesson to remember, all right? Also, know where it goes, your old highs. Charts have memory. You go, really? One of my degrees is in psychology. I want you to think about this, all right? Charts are a reflection of human emotions, fear, greed, panic, complacency, and it's all reflected in the chart. You go, well, what's the lesson here, Pat? Don't get fancy with me. Tell me. Well, it rallies right up to here, and then it drops like a rock. Do you think there were people that bought it there? I guarantee there were. You can say, how can you say that? Because price went there. That's how I know. You know it too. And then it falls. And some people didn't sell. They go, God, well, oh man, I'm in trouble now. Rallies right back up near old highs, right there, and backs right off. Do you think there were people that were selling up there? I'll tell you who was selling. People that bought it here and didn't sell and watched it drop way down here and come back and go, thank heaven, I'm near my price. I'm selling. Who else is selling? Maybe some people that bought it down here and watched it rally up to old highs and they sold. Again, remember this. Charts are a reflection of human emotions. Fear, greed, panic, complacency, and it's all reflected in the charts. That'll help you. Is there anything to do with it now? No, not really. Nope, leave it alone. Amazon dropping on increasing volume. You see that? See what it did on Friday? What does that tell you? Be careful with Amazon, all right? And be careful buying it. Be careful owning it. That's all. Alibaba, there's nothing there. Look at the weekly. There's nothing here. And look at the tail bars. Rallies up, they take it down. Here's another lesson for you, and we teach this in Mission Winners. Lack of conviction. It runs up, they take it right back down. Lack of conviction. Runs up, they take it right back down. No conviction. They're not staying with it. And it's telling you, Leave it alone for right now. That's good. Have we been messing with this at all in here or in here? Nope. No, we don't need to. Continue onwards. BIDU, another example, runs up, they take it down, runs up, they take it down, reverse bar, they take it down. There's no conviction here, leave it alone. All right, that's simple, move on. Google. Google looks decent on the weekly, pulls up. Oh, by the way, remember, we're still in earnings season, folks. It's important to know those earnings dates. Please know those earnings dates, all right? It started to lift up, and then it, no push here, and what do? Right in here too, sold it. There's nothing there. Fell again on Friday. What would we look for? And remember, folks, I'll say it again. Some of these stocks have earnings. I'm going to check something really quick on this. Good. I'm glad I checked. This stock has earnings April 25th. 425. Google has earnings. All right. I don't know what they're going to be. I don't know what the response is going to be. But just as a service to you, I want to tell you that Mission to Winners, we try to be another set of eyes for people to help them. So earnings 425. Be aware of that. I wouldn't buy just before earnings. You could be good, or you could have something that you'll remember and tell your grandkids about, saying, don't do what grandpa or grandma did. No, just watch it and see. I don't know what the response is going to be. Please, I want to convey that though. I'm not saying it's going to be a bad report or a bad response, okay? So just let's be real specific there. I don't know what it's going to do, all right? So, but it's kind of choppy here, so be careful. Let's move on here. MasterCard. Yeah, I think their credit card was declined. There's nothing good going on at this time. Just leave it alone. There's nothing to do with it. Continue onwards. Meta was a monster run for us. Buys back here and here and here. And there, look at the buys, folks. Look at that. Now that last buy right in here. And I'm not bragging. I'm grateful. I see you bought it for 370. 370 up to 530. Now you're not going to sell it at the top. But 370 up to 520. Hey, that's some good money. And trends pay. And what have we done? We've been selling it. I think the last shares were sold, losing the 50-day. Locked it in. Done. Nothing to do with it right now. Be cautious. Continue onwards. Microsoft. That's not good. That's not good at this point in time. Nothing to do with it. Leave it alone. Continue onwards. Netflix. We owned this. We owned this from down in here. And I was telling the VIPs, because I try to be another set of eyes, hey, they've got earnings coming. There's some distribution in here. Be very small or flat the stock. Don't be big here. All right? And I'm glad we weren't. By the way, sells into strength up here really helped us. Really helped us. Made money and lightened our exposure big time. Risk control. Is there anything to do with it now? Nope. Leave it alone. Nvidia. You see the weekly base? I make videos on this. All right? Before it broke out. And it was loaded up in here. Runs up. Sells into strength. And here's a good lesson for you right here. You see that tail bar? It gaps up, runs up, and reverses down on a big pickup in volume after a big move. That's a trigger to sell some. Did we? Yes, we did. And then it rallies up, and what do you have here? You have a lower high. Not as much power. This high is lower than this high. Starts to drop, and we sell some more. Drops here, rallies up, starts to roll down, and we sell some more. Knowing the price action wasn't great, but more importantly, you're not going to sell it all, but also controlling risk. We knew earnings were coming. We knew earnings were coming. So we got lighter, locked in good profits. I mean, if every stock did this, y'all could quit. Here we go. So now it's lost this, done. Earnings did that. The moral of the story, know the earnings date. Just don't be big before earnings. You could be a hero, or you could have a lesson that you'll never forget. So there we go. And I don't want those kinds of lessons because they impact us psychologically too. Continue onwards. Block. Look, I called it by the right name. There's still hope for me. I've always called this square because that's what it was for a long time. Anyway, this is rolling over. It's below the fallen 50-day. There's nothing to do with it. Don't overthink it. Just nothing to do. Leave it alone. Here we go. Tesla. We were in Tesla a long time ago, but since then, there's nothing here. There's nothing here. This is a great investing maxim for everybody. And I taught this at the IBD meetups. The air is better above a rising 50-day, and it's not as good below a falling 50-day. You can say, well, that's kind of corny. Well, you can say it's corny, but by gum, it works. There you go. There's nothing to do with it. Just leave it alone. Oh, maybe it's going to bounce. Maybe it's going to bounce. Guess what? We don't play the maybe game. We stack the deck in our favor. We'll wait for it to show some strength. Until then, we just leave it alone, and I'm thankful we're not in it. Visa, I'll make that bigger for you. Visa, there's nothing there. It's below the falling 50-day. Leave it alone.
Thank you for watching the video. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit like. Maybe hit that subscribe button. We come up with new content nearly every day. Also, check out the videos on the right. YouTube recommends the one on the top, and the bottom one is something we thought you might enjoy. See you next time.